This week on Chicago Beer Pass, Rob from Baderbrau comes on, brings a ton of beer, and we dive into everything they got going on, what they have coming up, and we talk all about the new production brewery and tap room that recently opened.
Yeah, because, you know, you get a cork popped out, boop, it just flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it. The legend, Mr. Pete Crowley. I love Pete Crowley, man.
How's that beer? It's what you think it is.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski.
Hey, I'm Nik White.
And we got a guest in the studio, a returning guest.
Yeah, man, on the short list of people that we've enjoyed and wanted to have come back on the show, from Baderbrau, co-founder Rob Sam is in the house, goddammit. What's up, man?
How are you?
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
This time you've brought quite a few beers with you this time.
Well, they're out of our new brewery at 25th and Wabash. So with the tap room now finally open, so come on down.
Right, Nick's been multiple times now.
Yeah, you know, I went the first time I went, it was still like a construction site. You know, I go back like a month and a half later, and then boop.
There's a brewery.
It's like
a brewery.
Somebody hit the brewery button. It's like a full-blown
right.
brewery. You got like 10 beers in cans. Like it's madness, man.
Yeah, well, they're not all in cans yet. But,
Not yet.
Yeah, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about, you know, what's been up, what's going on at the brewery, and just get reacquainted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we opened up some cans of the Southside Pride to kick things off here.
So Southside Pride is a triple decocted Munich Helles, which we bill as a beer-flavored beer. Sort of our answer to light beer. It's for regular people and people for whom even the Pilsner might be considered too bitter.
Okay.
And it takes twice as long for us to make this beer as any other beer because of the decoctions. And we had to specially source under-modified malts to make the decoctions make sense. And the result is just a phenomenal Helles.
Now, some people don't know about decoctions.
Sure.
So you wanna break that down a little bit for them?
Sure. So in medieval Germany, I guess, when they would brew beer, they would have difficulty maintaining steady temperature, in the mash kettle. So as the heat would evaporate off, the mash would drop too low a temperature, and the starches wouldn't convert to sugars. So in order to maintain the temperature, they would scoop out a bundle or a pot of the grist with the liquid in the grain, and they would bring it to a boil, and they dump it back in to raise the average temperature back up again. Right. And you would do this once for a single decoction, twice for a double decoction, or the whole 9 yards, I guess, the triple decoction so 3 times.
Okay.
And that's what we did. We did the whole 9 yards, the triple decoction, and it lends itself to creating sort of toasty flavors in the beer, sort of that maltiness that you expect from authentic German brewing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it kind of gives you like bigger mouthfeel.
Much bigger mouthfeel.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and that adds a lot of flavor to what is otherwise, Helles means light in German.
Yeah, so you can keep
otherwise a lighter beer.
You can keep the light body, but then you can get a lot of cool notes in it without raising.
That's right. And there's virtually no hop aroma on it. It's just a real smooth everyday drinking beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like you got the black and white. You got the little baseball diamond on here, the Southside Pride.
Yeah,
I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to be a brand new resident of? Yeah, 25th and Wabash. You're like right at the edge of South Loop, right?
Yeah, so I try to bill it as anchoring the South Loop and the gateway to Bronzeville. Technically, I suppose Bronzeville starts at 26th, and but we are south of the Stevenson, which I think is pretty solidly south side. Not far from McCormick Place.
Yeah.
And we had a phenomenal block party during Craft Beer Week.
Yeah, to end Craft Beer Week.
Yeah, so we sort of anchored Craft Beer Week this year. Had about 1,500 people come down.
Nice.
Just went through a phenomenal amount of beer. And we had bounce houses inside for kids, and I mean it was good, right? It's like you bring your kids, have fun, and a ton of food trucks, DJs. It was a really nice time. I think everyone had a good time there, and then it took a minute for us to get fully opened.
Okay.
So it was about 3 weeks between the time we had the block party and the time we opened the doors to the tap room. And so we wanted to make sure that the word was out there that we are open and come on down and try some of our beers.
Were you already brewing at the facility before the tap room opened? So, okay.
Yeah.
So the tap room legal things and
Tap
everything.
rooms,
That's all,
it's
all
the city.
paperwork,
Chicago,
yeah.
man,
Yeah, it takes time.
Now you've come a long way on this project, man. So let's see. If I can remember, it started at Argus, the good folks at Argus.
Yes.
Way back when. Maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now, right?
Not 5.
Okay.
So we started in 2012 at Argus.
Yeah.
Had some production issues, couldn't get the volume out that we needed. And so we moved it up to Stevens Point in April of 2013 and started in earnest there. Introduced our first seasonal, our Oktoberfest in fall of 2013. And we in 2014 we nearly closed on a location for our brewery, and it all fell apart at the last second and had to start from scratch. And it's always been part of our model from a business plan perspective to be in the community, right? To be somewhere where it's readily accessible, where we're in an obvious place. And
So not to cut you off, but where was that? If you can talk about that, like
it was very close to White Sox Park.
Okay.
Very, very close to White Sox Park. And there's, Bridgeport has sort of a political contingent that wants Bridgeport to be sleepy, and so there was some opposition, and we said, we don't want to pick a fight like that. That wasn't what we wanted to do.
Okay.
By contrast, Bronzeville has been welcoming us with open arms and very happy to have the economic development in Bronzeville. Yeah. And so we've been very well received by Bronzeville.
That's weird about the Bridgeport thing, man, because I remember Five Rabbit was looking in Bridgeport, and then they just decided, nope, we're going to go to, I think they're out in, just south of the city, just
Bedford.
Bedford Park.
Yeah.
They're in Bedford Park. So I went Bridgeport.
In fact, the building we're in, Five Rabbit had looked at years ago.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And they couldn't come to an agreement with the owner of the building to lease it. And in fact, we couldn't either. We brought in a new landlord to buy it on our behalf.
That's very strange that Bridgeport doesn't want to do that, and then because that just leads to more money, which leads to more people, which is better school. Like the whole.
There's a very strong anti-alcohol vibe about a certain set in Bridgeport.
Yeah, I guess because the ballpark's there, right?
There's the ballpark's
That's
there.
why it makes sense to me.
People, I think there's a contingent in Bridgeport that would see it go, right, if they could, right? That they blame every piece of trash on their lawn on the ballpark, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I've lived in parts of the city very far away from that ballpark, and there's still
lots of trash
on your lawn. That's life.
It's a good
in
point.
The city, But so it didn't work out there, but we're very happy where we are. And we're right, our plan, we want it to be obvious. We want it to be in a place where the presence of the brewery could act as a marketing agent for us. And so it took longer to find the right space than I think a lot of people do. And the result is I think we're seeing the effects in the pull through at retail even. So we're very happy.
Yeah, it's right off the expressway. You got the big, beautiful Baderbrau sign and that like royal blue, right? Yeah. And then so what was there when you got there? Like was it a car dealership or something?
Well, so originally it was a car dealership. It was the repair depot for the Oldsmobile dealership on Motor Row. So if you can imagine Motor Row extending southward before the Stevenson was ever built, that's what it was.
Okay.
It was built in 1928. The building eventually was sold to the Leaderstone Sales Company, which apparently manufactured doorknobs on site, and they built the adjunct to the building. So we have this little addendum part of our building, which is where we do our packaging, and just on the northern side of the building. I learned from an architecture geek blog that was blogging about us that adjunct to the building was built by a famous architect, a guy by the name of James Eppenstein, and there were actually pictures of people touring Chicago and
seeing that building.
Yeah, standing out in front of that building, before we were in it, snapshot, hey, we're in front of this James Eppenstein building. And they noted that when the tap room opens, which is now open, it's the only Eppenstein building that's open to the public. So,
that's kind of cool.
But he had built the Shoreland Hotel down in Hyde Park and the Hillshire Farms building downtown. So I guess once upon a time he was a famous architect, and for people who are into that sort of thing, it's cool.
Yeah.
So that's the history of the building.
Any plans for a beer named after him or anything like any?
So
there?
So there is. So when we, not Eppenstein directly, but when we did the demo work on the building and took down some of the interior drywall, we discovered that the north face of the original building had an advertisement painted on it for the Leaderstone Sales Company, and it said Leaderstone Sales Company, Majestic Handles, and so it's. We're thinking maybe we should make a Majestic Handle beer at some point.
Yeah.
Tap handles.
For sure.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what made the switch to cans now? Because last time we were drinking the lawnmower, or it was called lawnmower.
It was lawnmower lager.
Yeah,
Lawnmower lager.
Lawnmower lager
is our
and
IPL.
and probably the pills or Naked Selfie.
Are we gonna see everything go to cans, or are you gonna still do
Everything's
bottle?
going to cans.
Okay.
I prefer cans. I think lagers are probably better drunk in cans. They fit the milieu, and doing both is involves twice as much equipment. And, glass is getting ever more expensive, so it's going to be all cans from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So I think I kind of look for the cans now when I go to the store. They're easier to put in your fridge, and
they're lighter.
On so many levels. I dig the cans so much more.
They're lighter. You can crush them down to put them in your recycling. I mean,
shotgun them.
yeah.
Now with the new brewery, you got the big operation. You run it all yourself. You're not just like passing it off to someone else to brew for you. Now who'd you tap to help with this full-time brewing situation?
So we've got Nathan Turtel as our brewmaster. He did a couple of years at Two Brothers, followed by a few years at Lagunitas, and he's been a real asset to our organization.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we got the Southside Pride, and we got the original Baderbrau.
We've got the Pilsner, and then our new third year-round beer, which will be canned next week, is High Noon Hefeweizen. So, and that's a fun beer. So, typical Hefeweizen or wheat beer will be about 60 to 70% wheat, and the reason for that is that wheat doesn't have a husk. And so when you put too much wheat in the lauter tun, it'll gum up and not drain the wort through. Yeah. So you add barley to it because barley has husks and it creates channels for the liquid to flow through. Okay. Well, we don't have a lauter tun. We have a mash filter, which is a different set of equipment. So instead of a lauter tun is sort of a giant colander that the grains will sit in, and you strain the liquid through the grains in the colander. What we have are a series of filters and bladders that literally squeeze every last bit of wort out of the mash. But what that means is that we don't need to have barley. We can make 100% wheat beer. This beer is not 100% wheat; it's 93% wheat, which is a feat that no one else can really achieve.
And I remember you talking about this before, and I was always wondering, like, where did you see this and that inspired you to want to have it on your own? Because I don't think
the mash filter.
Yeah.
So it was a visit to Griffin Claw up in Michigan, and we wound up buying our system from the same company that made theirs. A company called Craftworks.
All right.
Cool. Nice. Nick plows through the beers.
I tend to get excited.
Our beers are crushable. We tell people we make flavorful, crushable, affordable beers, and it's good. That's what I want to see. Someone's crushing it and enjoying it.
It's been a long day.
It's hot out. This is a good day for a Hellas.
I haven't left the office, so I do not know the temperature outside. I got here at 9 and have not left.
I'm totally in post-game mode, shaking off the day. Yeah, so I'm already into the second beer. Man.
Yeah, man, but it's only 4.8. It's not like.
See, now I feel better. Brad's over here trying to make me feel like a lush. It's 4.8, Brad. It's fine.
All three of our flagships are under 5%.
Or we just look like terrible beer drinkers.
Everybody's got their thing, man. I'm not here to judge, man. All right, so the first thing I noticed, the space is ridiculously huge. Like I've been to in the neighborhood you're in South Loop. I've been to Motor Road. than the Vice, and they're relatively small compared to like what you guys are doing.
Well, we have a real production brewery, right? We have a full canning line. We are shipping beer out to supermarkets, Jewel and what have you.
Yeah.
So we need the space, and we've got the whole building's 25,000 square feet. We've got about 6,000 on the upstairs in the tap room section.
Yeah.
And the rest is downstairs.
Okay.
And we're using that space, so we'll hold events down there. But obviously we want to have room to expand our cellar as we grow. So that's why we did it, to have room to grow.
Yeah. So you don't have to leave like everyone tends to do nowadays.
Right. I feel like that's always a problem. It seems like you don't have the capital to go into a big space for a lot of people, and then they grow, and then they have to end up moving, and then it just creates all these other headaches. So it's nice you have space room to grow into. And then
you hear from your distributor. Like our distributors, we distribute with Glunz, and they're very much behind us. And part of why they're behind us is because they can see that we have the room to grow, right? And you hear, I don't, not naming names or anything, but you hear people, the distributors saying, look, I can sell a ton more of this beer, but why am I going to invest the time in it when, they're going to run out of, it's going to run out, and then what do I do next? I wait 2 years for them to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so we're not in that position. We'll be ready. We're poised for growth.
Yeah, I never thought about that as a salesperson. Like, I love this beer, I'm selling it, but no one can buy it. Like,
yeah, they're already looking at the issues behind loving the beer. Right? Yeah, right. That's weird. Yeah, and then you guys are recent. Glunz is a recent thing, right? Because initially you weren't with Glunz.
We've been with Glunz for at least a year and a half now, maybe 2 years. Okay. Yeah, very happy there.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, I'm digging this Southside Pride. I like it.
Our salespeople are telling us it's one of the easier beers they've ever had to sell, and it seems to be just flying.
I'm sure, especially on that side of the city too. It just.
But even West Loop, I mean, like people they're itching for something that's super crushable, super easy, and still well made, and like I was at a bar waiting for my wife to join me coming off work, and there were three, I guess I'd say middle-aged people sitting next to me coming off work themselves, two men and a woman, and the woman was saying, I just can't, I don't like bitter beers. Too many of these craft beers are too bitter, but like if I order a Miller Lite, people are looking at me like I'm crazy, And I think there's a lot of people out there who fit that description, who would like to be able to drink a local beer, a craft beer, well-made beer, but they don't know what to drink and they're afraid, and there's a lot of room I think to still supplant and get rid of Miller Lite handles, and
isn't that crazy? Time, or if you order a Miller or a Bud, people are like, what are you doing drinking that? We got these beers.
Do you know where you are? Do you know how many breweries are here and what you should be drinking? It's so true. Yeah. Low ABV crushable beers that are made locally. There's a huge space for that.
That's
exist,
what I think. That's why we're doing it.
That's true, man.
And it's what I prefer to drink. We had a neighborhood block party in my street.
Yeah.
And I brought a cooler full of beer because I think it's expected of me. And at one point, one of the my neighbors, this woman, she finishes a beer, turns and looks at me and says, these are going down kind of easy. I said, yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah, I love the quote. I forget who said it. We were at some launch party, and they were like, it's a beer that we made here in Chicago that you don't have to think about. You pick it up, you drink it, it tastes great, you know where it came from, and you can drink a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's cool, considering where craft came from, where it was the exact opposite, right? You had to make these big, flavorful, ridiculous beers just to get noticed. And now we see the trend of small beers really, really having a cool place in the spectrum, in the craft beer spectrum. So, so the pills you were making, now you got 3 flagship beers, and then at the tap room, you guys have like 8 other beers going on.
We've got 10 beers.
I think we were talking about this last week, right?
I'm like, they have a ton of beer over there.
we had 10 beers up. Yeah. We've got these 3. We've got Naked Selfie up, which I guess you guys have had.
That's the black IPL.
Black IPL. I believe it's the first commercially produced black IPL. I don't know, but I love that beer. We've got Red Velvet up. which is our more winter bock.
Okay,
But we wanted to put it up anyway because people there are red velvet fanatics out there who,
Really?
who
I don't think
really dig it. We've got our Maibach up, which I'm a huge Maibach fan, so I'm very pleased that we have that. We have our Radler, which is based on Southside Pride, called Velosa Radler. It's dynamite. The look you just gave me.
The radio show voice caught me totally off guard. Followed by the dynamite. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Are you going grapefruit in that, or are you going something else?
So when you look at Radlers, other Radlers that are out there, right? I need another Southside.
Watermelon is a big hit right now.
So what you're looking at are three different
grapefruit.
flavor types, right? Grapefruit, you're looking for a little bit of bitter, right? Orange or watermelon, you're looking for some sweet. And lemon, you're looking for some sour, right? Well, so when I set out to make a Radler, I went to the supermarket and sort of filled my basket with all kinds of fruits, mostly citrus, just trying to figure out, well, all right, what blend am I going to do and how's this going to work? And I happened to cross one fruit that's a little bit unusual, but it's one fruit that has, in my opinion, the perfect blend of bitter, sweet, and sour. And that fruit is the kumquat.
Okay.
And kumquats are, for those who are unfamiliar, they're a citrus fruit of Chinese origin, but I guess most citrus fruit originally comes from China. And it's small, like a grape, and you eat the whole thing, skin and all.
Yeah.
And it just a powerful flavor explosion. And so we had to source kumquat juice from Florida.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head, like, when's the last time I went and scored a kumquat at the local Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
Mariano's carries them a fair amount. Yeah.
Okay. Good call. Good to know.
But there was a kumquat blight, so there wasn't that much juice to even get. So we were going to can some.
The struggle.
And we decided we'd just keg it all. But we're working on it for next year to get more Velosa Radler out there. But it's kind of like a Beermosa, right? It's kind of like orangey and beery and delicious, and we've had a really positive reception to it.
Nice.
The only one I didn't like on the Radlers was the lime Radler that we had on the boat from Atlas.
That one. Okay.
It was
from Burnt City.
Oh, sorry, from Burnt City. Yeah.
That is horrible. What happened to them changing their name? I mean, like Atlas is a great name,
and it was paying tribute to something that existed in Chicago before then.
Sure.
Cool. It was
very cool.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, as a brewer, your IP attorney is one of your three most important attorneys, right? It really is. It's like you've got your corporate attorney, your alcohol attorney. Duh, you need both of those. But then your IP attorney, and we carry IP trademark insurance just to dispense with the nonsense.
Okay. No, yeah, I do like the new name Burnt City though. I think it.
I mean, I guess if you had
fits
to,
what happened to them.
If you had to change the name, this name makes sense.
But they spent so many years. How long was that brew pub open?
Yeah,
at least 3 years.
I would say so.
And they built a name. I think I think people were getting to know Atlas. Now,
they had a following, and then the other space out on 99th and Halstead or whatever it was.
I got to get down there.
They they had this huge facility with all these cans, and Atlas was a go. People were excited about the new cans. Yeah.
I think the design on their new cans was very nice. I really liked the artwork on their cans. I love the artwork on our cans, and I think we do have the best artwork in the business, if I may say so myself.
I think,
but they were very
the Phoenix. Whoever's responsible for the Phoenix, right? And then we all know the story now. Like the last time you were on the show, you went really deep into like the history of Baderbrau.
Yeah.
And then so the Phoenix is totally relevant because it's like, hey, you guys are bringing back a brand that people loved.
Yeah.
And then but whoever designed the actual Phoenix deserves a pat on the back.
Well, that's our in-house artist, Calzone, and he did all the design, the Southside Pride design you see there, sort of the old school Chicago look. He did the Pilsner with the racing stripes. It's all him, and the High Noon. I should have brought the High Noon mock-up can with me, but it's a totally spaghetti western looking can. It's awesome.
Yeah. Where are some of the spaces around the city that you've been seeing like an unusually high volume of the beer?
Where's it selling exactly?
No, like where is this? What are some of the accounts that are like it's selling more than other places? You know.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to.
I'm always curious about this kind of stuff.
But like, I'll name one place, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
for example, we've been at Murphy's Bleachers for a while, right?
Okay.
Over by
it's like across street from Wrigley.
We're across street from Wrigley, right? We're like a South Side brand, right? And we've had the Pilsner up there for a while, and it was going okay, but kind of slow. And all of a sudden, it just clicked, and no one knows what the heck happened other than that we lit up the sign on our building, and everyone's thinking that people are coming in from the suburbs and driving past the brewery on 55 and going up Lakeshore, and then they walk into Murphy's and they see it and they're like, oh yeah, I just saw that brewery, right? And so it's rolling,
Yeah.
We've just started having cans run off the line, right? We've just shipped our first batch of Southside and Pilsner cans, and they're flying out of the warehouse, right? We're going to be dry very shortly. So, we brewed some Southside today, right? But it takes a couple of weeks. Yeah. It's a lager, so we'll have more. But we're just hitting our stride and just getting into it. So I'm real happy.
Man, Murphy's Bleachers. Okay, I don't think I've only been there once.
I went once. We had
That's all I needed.
Yeah, who was it? We had the quarterback of the Arena League lingerie football team.
What?
She was on.
What is this lingerie football
There's
team?
a lingerie football league, and she was
What
on.
is that?
I don't know. Well, no, it's like it sounds. It's like flag football, and it's they wear lingerie, and they play like in the summer.
Do they wear helmets?
No, they don't wear helmets. It's like an arena football thing without the helmets in lingerie.
Is it like touch football? Or
No,
do they
it's flag.
each
No,
other?
it's flag. It's flag.
right.
Flag football. Oh, but she was on the brew bus, and then it was a Sunday tour. Sunday tours are always wacky. It was a post game, and she said, "Hey, let's go party at Murphy's Bleachers." That was my only time there. That's a total side note.
Lingerie football.
It was such a fun place. It's such a fun place, and it's literally like right where the bleachers are.
Yeah.
It's just like 30 feet.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very cool. Very cool space.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. You guys got a chance to do something special here, man.
Yeah.
Like, with all the beer you're able to produce, and then focusing on beers that people can drink in volume. That's not something we see a lot of.
No. I think it's a niche for us, and
like shot in a whiskey. I'm a big fan of that. Shot in whiskey and a taco kind of thing. So that's
we very nearly did a deal with Malort.
Really?
Yeah. So we wanted to do a deal with Malort after the mayoral election. So what was that, last year when Rahm was running for re-election? Mm-hmm. And we came up with the name. We're going to call it the Rom Bomb. So so you get a Baderbrau and a shot of Malort, and it was called the Rom Bomb. And we came up with a poster that said, "You shot at the king, you missed. Now you must pay the price." And so we went to go back to IP attorneys. We went to our IP attorneys, and we asked, "Is this okay to do, or are we going to get in trouble?" And they were like, "Well, actually, Illinois law." There's a law in the books that says if you use a well-known person or celebrity or anything, their likeness in any capacity without their permission, they can sue you for lost profits and all kinds of nasty things.
So it's like a libel law?
Well, I think the idea is that they don't want you saying, like, hey, I came up with a Michael Jordan beer, and like Michael Jordan's like, what? Right? So, but in the way they wrote it is very broad, right? So it can't, even if you wanted to insult somebody, you're not supposed to do that.
Just Illinois figures? You couldn't, like, if it was a non-Illinois person?
No.
Just anything in Illinois.
It could be anybody. If you want to make a Taylor Swift beer in Illinois, Taylor Swift could come to Illinois and sue you.
Whoa, okay.
I don't want to point out that there are some people making beers that mention other people, famous people in them, but they may want to rethink that.
I never thought about that. And if you're a brew pub, it's a one-off beer, so sometimes that stuff flies in the radar. But then
that's what I asked my IP attorney. I'm like, well, don't diners always have sandwiches named after celebrities that aren't really them? And they're like, yeah, they do, and it flies under the radar. But if someone wanted to, if Britney Spears got mad about the Britney Spears sandwich,
She could raise hell. If she
Yeah,
wanted
she could
to.
raise hell.
Could, and
Yeah.
at this diner that's barely
know,
making any
Nick,
money. Yeah.
that Donald Trump has been involved in over 400 lawsuits in his career? That's almost one a month for his entire career. That's a lot of lawsuits.
She's going after those Donald Trump sandwiches.
That's
It's
right.
like, there's no way you're gonna do this and not have me in on it, right? But yeah, I've heard that to be true. Like, especially on draft, like you can get away with more stuff on draft because draft's not it's not
And
packaged.
you
You
have
know,
It's ephemeral.
You
Yeah.
don't have
You
to
can-
go through the TCB to
exactly.
get like approved.
Yeah, so
and
people are like
Well,
Angry Birds would be a good example of
You
that.
kind of do. You kind of do. I mean, you got to send your caller into the TTB, but
yeah,
they're not really looking at trademark infringement. They're just looking at
name like appropriate
false
name.
claims too, right? So they're really big on like snake oil claims, right? So like there was a
The cure for cancer beer. Yeah.
Or like naming a beer Canadian breakfast stout and it's not made in Canada or Canada.
Canada. Canadia's a good place too. But yeah, well, that's the other
that
thing,
kind of
right?
stuff,
So, for
right?
example, we couldn't put on our label for Lawnmower Lager India Pale Lager.
Okay.
We write IPL. No, they make you write India Style Pale.
Okay. Makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I think
In India, I bet you couldn't find an India Pale Lager in the nation of India. That's an American thing.
Yeah, that's true. I got nothing, man. So how's your summer been, man? And then what's coming up, man? What's on the horizon?
you had the block party.
Yeah, the block.
We had the
party.
block party, and
I'm gonna open up this growler.
Yeah.
that's a high end.
So that is mind blowing stuff. Everyone's been going gaga over that. Again, 93% wheat, and the 7%.
Not Lady Gaga.
The
over it.
7% that's not wheat is there for flavor. Look at the head on that. I mean, look at how big that is.
Whew.
Yeah,
Great. Super clear too. Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
So the other thing we're planning for mid-July is my keynote address. So I've decided that I am going to. I know.
Steve Jobs style.
I am going to deliver a Steve Jobs style keynote address to introduce the world to all of our beers.
There you go.
And so we're inviting industry and media and everyone else. Our hope is to get the mayor there, despite the Rom Bomb thing. I actually reached out to his office to see if I could get permission from him to do the Rom Bomb.
Any luck there or?
I got someone to respond to say we'll pass it along, but no one.
We'll let him know.
We'll let them know. We'll call you back.
We'll let them know. We'll call you back. Yeah.
We don't have your number, but we'll call you back.
It's one of those kinds of things, right? So we're hoping to get him there for a little ribbon cutting and have that go on. Yeah, and we're gonna simulcast that on YouTube too, so anyone can tune in and watch the Rob Sama Baderbrau keynote address.
Right on. Man. No, that sounds groovy. man.
When's the thought for that?
Mid-July, mid to late July.
Okay,
yeah.
so not too far off.
Not too far off.
Yeah. And then let's dive into the space a little bit more. Like one
Yeah.
thing I noticed is that you guys are really dedicating space to like the kitchen we were talking about, and then like the ability to throw really big parties there, like weddings and.
Yeah, so we've got a little. We're not really doing a lot of food in house. There's a lot of places that deliver food to us.
Yeah.
We have a little prep kitchen for catering and for events out in the brewery floor. We also have a separate, smaller tap room for corporate events and other things like that, or for overflow if we get super busy. So our main space is beautiful bow truss structure with a ginormous mural of a graffiti artist interpreting our Phoenix logo.
Yeah.
That was done by Brain Killer, the graffiti artist.
Oh, okay.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. We've got very classic looking beer hall chandeliers, sort of the round German kind of style beer hall chandeliers, picnic table seating, and you're on the second floor there with giant picture windows that look down onto the brewery. So if you're there in the middle of the week, like today, if you came in this afternoon, you could have seen us brewing beer, just sat and had a beer and watched the beer be brewed. But if even in the evening, we have great floodlights that light up the equipment, and it looks beautiful.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I need to go. You talk about it all the time because you're there.
Yeah, man. I was like, this thing like is not in my head that this is gonna happen. It's like actually a thing, which is kind of exciting. Yeah,
Come on by.
So, yeah, it's very cool.
That's awesome. No, this Hefeweizen, the High Noon, is great. I like it. It's different than your normal wheat beer that feels, I guess, heavy. It's not cloudy, so I don't know. It has a different mind
for some
feel.
reason that one's not that cloudy. It's unfiltered, so maybe some of the yeast settled out of it a bit.
Okay.
But you've got it has a ton of banana aroma on it. It's got a little bit of sweetness in there. You get a little chill haze on that. Yeah.
But it feels like crisper than a lot of Hefeweizens.
Well, it's also been in this growler on the bus ride over here.
Okay.
So
nice.
Right on.
Well, yeah, it's exciting times for Baderbrau, and it was great to have you on again.
Yeah,
man. So, give the folks the address one more time.
So we're right on the corner of 25th and Wabash. The actual address is 2515 South Wabash. Okay. We have parking under the L tracks, so signage just went up about that. So that's our parking. Just go ahead and park your car under there and walk on over. Alternatively, if you're taking the L, go down to the Green Line Cermak stop, and we're about a 7-minute walk from the Cermak stop at Green Line. So Cermak, you're not far from Reggie's or even Motor Row, right in that neighborhood.
And then open during the day too, because you said you were brewing.
We open at noon, so come on in, have a beer. There's a great sandwich shop in the corner. Grab a sandwich, bring it on up if you want. We have flights, we have growlers.
Good excuse to ditch work. I know when I was over there.
Absolutely.
There was
one of the things we did, speaking of work, is under the bar there's a strip of power outlets, so you can always plug in anywhere you sit. So
that's always something. Whenever I travel, I'm like, I bring a charger. I'm like, can I just plug this in somewhere? You're always looking for that.
I just got tired. Every time you walk into a bar, you're like, you have somewhere I can plug in? They're like, yeah, all right, give me it. I'll take it behind the bar. And we're just like, no. There will be plugs everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's a brand new beach, like right there, like 31st Street.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Completely
I rode my bike
revamped.
Right by there. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, harbor and the whole nine. It's really cool. So, a lot of fun stuff happening just south of downtown. It's very cool. So, right on.
Well, awesome. I think that does it for this week's episode. We did not even talk about any of the events or anything that's happening.
Full frontal Baderbrau. Get your ass to the tap room. Try the Southside Pride.
There's got to be something you can talk about events-wise.
Yeah, there's something going on.
There's something.
We haven't even looked it up.
It was one of those weeks, man. There's something going on.
Yeah.
We'll post to the Facebook page. I'm
sure. So Nick, where can people find you when you're not at Baderbrau or crushing Southside Pride?
Mostly he'll be at Baderbrau crushing some Southside Pride.
I'm also on Twitter.
Or an Easy Squeezy. We even talk about Easy Squeezy.
Oh, this guy's good. He's always on. You know what I mean? Like, it's always go time when Rob's around. I'm on Twitter at Nicosio.
I'm on Twitter at BRAD. Chicago Beer Pass is on Twitter at Chicago Beer Pass. Nick mentioned the Facebook page. We'll post the events we didn't talk about this week here.
I'm on Twitter at Baderbrau.
All right.
BADERBRAU.
Sure. So follow us.
No umlaut.
No umlaut. I don't think you can do umlauts.
Can you do an umlaut on Twitter? You probably could.
On your iPhone, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You gotta hold it down.
Yeah.
The website is chicagobeerpass.com. All the episodes are posted there. Links to iTunes, Stitcher, the YouTube version as well.
I can't believe we're on camera. I didn't even know coming in here that we were going to be on camera. Oh, there's Nick making muscles.
Yeah. So, you can check that out. And
I was playing NBA 2K earlier. They were doing this when they dunked.
He's working out your muscles.
Are you still doing the Fitbit?
No way. It broke. I gave up.
All right. We're gonna get out of here. We'll get into the Chicago Pilsner here after we turn off the camera.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.